already developed a prototype, which is this one. You can find it available on the website. And an operational version is being developed. But of course, this is not the only one, the only thing. National and regional geoportals are being developed, and of course, there is no, on one hand, the European geoportal is not intended to be the entry point which should kill or replace anything else. On the contrary, there is certainly a complementarity between the regional and national ones and the EU one. Users will certainly be able to find themselves, depending on their interests, where to go. Of course, the EU geoportal is there because, in any case, the idea of Inspire is that there must be an entry point to all these services, so that there is at least a Euro geoportal, but then, of course, all the countries which want to have a national or regional one have, and most of them will have. But these are screenshots taken recently, so there is a proliferation of geoportals, which is also indicating the pace at which geoportals are developed. The approaches are, of course, different. Basically, you can have view service, but this is also ongoing, and also the comparison in the approach which has been taken by different countries to develop geoportals is interesting. The background is something which comes from, it's not a geoportal in our sense, but I mean, I don't want to develop anything on this, but of course we are operating in an environment which is also having other portals or other ways of accessing to geographic information, as of course Google Earth and all those tools. So that's a background which anyway we are working with, and we have to take also into consideration. And I think it's important that we are all able to explain the difference and what means a geoportal and what we are developing here compared to what is also already available in a very easy way. Okay, final slide, a few conclusions. So, as I said, the legal implementation is sometimes delayed in some countries, but it is on its way, so it's a positive message. There are initiatives ongoing in all countries, including the one which have not formally transposed it to the end. The legal framework in terms of regulations is almost completed. I mean, in terms of quantity, of course, maybe it's not really almost completed. My colleagues in the JRC would say that there is maybe half of the work is still to be done for the Annex 3, but we have now a bunch of regulations there. We have, of course, we have recognized since some time that there is a crucial role which is played by the non-legal framework, all the guidance and the recommendations. And this is, of course, a critical issue linked also to the maintenance. The maintenance is important to maintain the guidelines and the recommendations, as I said, but it is also through the practical implementation of all this set of binding and non-binding rules that we will get to a right balance between what has to be fixed into the regulation and what has to be put into guidelines. We are now probably in the first step, and in a way it is the reality check which will be able to show us how good we have been in defining this balance and what needs to be fine-tuned in the future. So back to what is happening in member states. So the implementation is steadily progressing, sometimes in advance, as I said, with respect to the legal implementation. Certainly, what comes out from all this is that there is an effective cooperation framework in place. It was already underlined in the last years, and it is still continuing to work very well. It needs to be maintained, which means that there is still a big effort to be put in. It is not the willingness to implement a European SDI which is lacking. I think that is, again, not surprising, but it's very impressive to me, the fact that there's really a continuous and active demand for the implementation of a proper special data infrastructure framework. So even from at the legislative level, there is often an expression of need from countries to have more legislation. Not more beyond the spiral, of course, but to be more precise and to include in regulations things which at the beginning we could think, okay, we can maybe leave them outside. So this means that, which means that there is a real need. The implementation is not just going on because okay, there is a directive defined some years ago there in Brussels, and now we have to do something, maybe the minimum necessary to not to get the Court of Justice at the door. There is a real demand to implement something which is working, which is effective, and which is useful. So there is a reality check which has to prove in the next year if all what we are doing is going the right way. But I think that this is really the positive message that I can say here to this conference. So thank you, Alessandro.